Nobody taught you how to be mentally tough. Not your parents, not your school, not the world. Because toughness doesn't make you obedient, it makes you dangerous. And this world doesn't want dangerous men. It wants manageable ones. It wants you soft enough to follow rules, but strong enough to produce results. It wants you disciplined, but only for their benefit. So they never trained your mind to resist, only to comply. And that's why you fold when life hits you. Not because you're weak, but because you never learned how to stay standing when everything inside you is breaking. You've trained your body. You've learned skills. But your mind? That's still soft. Not by choice, but by design. No one taught you that failure is a gym, that pain is a trainer, that silence is a coach. No one showed you how to keep walking when everything inside you says quit. Mental toughness isn't about motivation. It's about survival. It's built in the dark, in the grind, in the moments when no one's watching and you choose to keep going anyway. Not because it feels good, not because it's inspiring, but because stopping is no longer an option, because you've already buried the version of you that needed comfort. You want to build an unbreakable mind? Then stop waiting for the world to teach you how. It won't. You'll have to build it alone. With blood. With silence. With rage turned into routine. This video isn't for the hopeful. It's for the man who's been broken and is ready to become something no one can break again. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications. Because this is not about getting better. It's about getting harder to kill. You weren't born weak. You were trained that way. From the beginning, you were taught to avoid pain, seek comfort, and depend on others for stability. Every time you were told, don't cry, don't be angry, don't be difficult, a piece of your inner fire was buried. They told you emotions made you unstable, that solitude was failure, that struggle meant something was wrong. And so you grew up thinking discomfort was danger and weakness was normal. But strength doesn't grow where you're safe. It grows where you're alone, where no one claps for you, where no one tells you, good job. That's the truth they never told you. Mental toughness isn't built through peace. It's carved through pressure. Every setback, every betrayal, every dark night where you stared at the ceiling wondering if it's even worth it. That's where your edge is shaped. You don't develop grit by reading quotes or journaling your emotions. You develop it when you act while you're broken, when you stand up again without a plan. When you push one more time, not because you're inspired, but because you refuse to stay down. Every man who's mentally tough is not lucky. He's just been in the dark long enough to build calluses on his mind. If you're waiting to feel ready, you'll stay weak forever. If you're looking for the right moment, it won't come. And if you think someone's going to save you, you'll drown. The only way out is through. And the only way through is head down, fists clenched, and mind locked. That's the way of the tough. Mental toughness isn't built in big moments. It's built in small decisions, repeated 1,000 times when no one is watching. The alarm goes off. Do you get up, or do you hit snooze? You feel tired. Do you show up anyway, or do you justify skipping it just this once? You said you'd train, study, build. Do you keep your word, or do you let emotion rewrite your plan? Every one of those moments is a rep, not for your body, for your mind. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not loud. It's not sexy. It's boring. It's brutal. It's unforgiving. And that's why it works. Because every time you do what you said you'd do, especially when you don't feel like it, you teach your mind one thing: I don't break. That's mental toughness. Not quotes, not hype, just execution. Day after day, with no applause, no external reward, just the satisfaction of knowing you did what most men wouldn't. The world is full of guys who talk big and deliver nothing, who start fast and quit faster, who post about discipline but live in excuses. You want to separate yourself? Then be consistent when no one is watching. That's the grind that changes your identity. You become the man who shows up anyway, the man who doesn't negotiate with feelings, the man who is immune to circumstance. That kind of discipline, it doesn't just build a stronger mind, it builds a dangerous one. Because once your actions stop depending on emotion, you become untouchable. You don't chase mood, you don't ask, "How do I feel?" You decide, and you execute. That's not just mental toughness, that's power. Every man faces a war the world never sees. It's not about money, not status, not validation. It's the war between who you are and who you refuse to remain. That battle happens in silence, in your head. In the small moments when quitting feels easier, when comfort calls louder than purpose, when you feel invisible, exhausted, forgotten. That's the battlefield. And most men lose before they even know they're at war. Because no one taught you how to fight your own mind. They taught you how to follow orders, how to meet expectations, how to avoid risk and blend in. But no one handed you the tools to break your own patterns, to destroy your own excuses, to face the mirror and say, "This version of me is not enough." That takes a kind of brutality no one celebrates. But the man who wins that inner war becomes something rare, something unshakable. Mental toughness isn't about confidence, it's about confrontation. It's about being willing to go to war with your worst instincts, your doubt, your laziness, your fear, not once, every day, without a referee, without backup. You bleed in your own mind and keep moving. You silence the noise by overpowering it with action. You stop negotiating with failure and start dominating your thoughts like they're enemies. And the moment you stop needing motivation, when you can operate in pain, in chaos, in fatigue, and still stay locked in, that's when the war shifts. That's when your mind stops being a victim of your environment and becomes the weapon that commands it. Silence isn't weakness, it's your greatest mentor, because in silence there's no audience, no feedback, no comfort, just you and the truth, no filters, no performance. Just the raw reality of whether you're who you say you are. That's where mental toughness is tested, not in the gym, not on stage, in the silence of your own life, when no one is coming and it's all on you. That's where most men fold. They start strong when eyes are on them. But once the attention fades, so does their discipline. They were never solid. They were just loud. But silence doesn't lie. It exposes every crack in your foundation. Every excuse, every broken promise. And if you're not ready to face that truth, you'll keep running. You'll keep distracting yourself with noise, comfort, validation. But nothing grows in noise. Real power grows in the quiet. That's where you train differently. While others chase stimulation, you chase structure. While they post, you build. While they talk, you listen. To the pain, to the resistance, to the stillness. You let it shape you. Because a man who is calm in silence becomes terrifying in chaos. He doesn't react. He doesn't panic. He executes. No matter what's happening outside, his inner world stays unshaken. You want to build mental toughness? Sit in silence. Not to find peace, but to build pressure. Let it break the weak parts of you. Let it show you what you've been hiding. And when the world comes crashing down, you won't scream. You'll move. You'll act. Because silence didn't make you fragile. It made you focused. There's no ceremony for mental toughness. No applause. No moment where someone hands you a medal and says, "You did it." Most of the time, no one even knows how hard you're fighting. And that's the point. Mental toughness isn't about showing the world how strong you are. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need the world to know. A man who's built himself in silence. A man who's been crushed, bent, betrayed, and kept walking. You weren't born unbreakable. No one is. But you've had moments. Moments where everything told you to give up. Where failure felt final. Where you sat with your thoughts, with pain in your chest, rage in your gut, and no way out. And yet, you didn't fold. Maybe you slowed down. Maybe you broke down. But you didn't stay there. You moved. And that movement, that decision to keep going when no one believed in you, not even you, that was the beginning of your transformation. Mental toughness is not a feeling. It's not something you find. It's something you build. And the cost is everything. Your comfort, your distractions, your identity. You don't get to keep your softness and become unstoppable. You don't get to chase ease and still call yourself a weapon. You have to burn what makes you weak, kill what slows you down, and rebuild with stone. The world is trying to break you every day through noise, chaos, comparison, doubt, and it will succeed unless you become harder to break than anything it can throw at you. That means training your mind daily. That means doing what hurts. That means leading yourself through storms when no one's around to guide you. You become your own savior, your own source of pressure, your own machine. So now the question is simple. Will you keep living soft, hoping life gets easier? Or will you become the man who gets harder every time it doesn't? Subscribe now. Leave a comment below. Tell me, what weakness are you burning today to build your toughness? Because this world wasn't made for the fragile, and the ones who survive are forged, not born.